Thank you for checking out the Media Marketing Podcast, a place where you can learn all things media and marketing related. Don't miss a beat in boosting your business and your brand. In each episode, you'll gain valuable insights, tools, and strategies to apply to your marketing efforts. And now your host, Brian Cargill.
Hello, media marketing supporters. I am so excited to be joined by Kim Allchurch. She is a connector and a collaborator who catalyzes good business, bringing knowledge and strong relationship building, confidence, and the ability to conduct projects and teams to great outcomes. Growth Wheel certified, experience as a profound generalist from large corporate expansions and startups, domestic and international to local, community, entrepreneur support. She is a business advisor and a facilitator for business builders at SBDC and global trade management at Global Trade Center at SBDC. And she weaves social enterprise values into everything every day. Kim, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be here.
I know this has been, I'm thinking back to, I think it was early, February, March that we first met, and I took the SBDC class and had a great time, and you guys put on a wonderful program over there at Portland Community College. Do you want to talk about the SBDC? I mentioned it a few times in your intro.
I would love to. So I am an advisor at the SBDC, which stands for Small Business Development Center. And there are 1,100 small business development centers throughout the nation that were funded by the SBA primarily. And the SBDC that I work for out of Portland does business builders courses for startup companies, business design series, restaurants, take your recipe to market, and global trade management. And I'm an advisor and facilitator for the small business builders and global trade management. And we nurture companies from start to growth and beyond, and also provide no-cost advising. And that's really important because it confidentially helps companies on a one-on-one basis, and it's SBA grant funded, which is why we can make it no cost. So it's a wonderful program. And the SBDC also has a capital access team, the CAT team. And I work with them quite closely because when a company needs funding or is looking for funding, they have vetted all the sources for the region, the state, and the nation to be able to provide matches and good advice about how to do that. So it's a wonderful thing to do because I love helping entrepreneurs. I love teaching business and business acumen.
That is too cool. And it sounds like, it's a holistic approach to helping entrepreneurs too. And just to get really meta or thinking on a bigger scale, you're helping the community, you're helping the economy, you're helping spin out all these new ideas and new innovations, which really help drive progress in humanity and our day-to-day lives. So you think about all the innovations that we enjoy today, that comes from entrepreneurship and someone having a dream. And so you guys are able to help kind of cultivate and guide people in the right direction through this program, right?
Absolutely. And Built Oregon is one of the organizations that I love to support. And one of the founders, Mitch Doherty, said that the engine of the economy of Oregon is small business. And consumer goods is to Oregon what tech is to Silicon Valley. And we know that strong businesses are what make communities and make the entire state strong. And so it's really important to support as many startups and small businesses as possible. And we're sector agnostic. So we have from service companies to makers to musicians. It's really amazing. And I have the best seat in the house because I'm teaching each term, advising each term, and I'm learning just as much as anybody. And particularly this year, it's been really profound.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about maybe some this year? Well, this year, maybe people are wondering, like, starting a business in the midst of COVID and everything that's going on. Do you have any thoughts there? Is it still a good time for someone to start a business, or?
Yeah, it's, this year is really interesting. All of our programs and cohorts used to be taught in a classroom. For me, it was the PCC Climb, and because we're housed under PCC, and immediately in early March, the entire college did an instant pivot to going online. So we have all of our courses now via Zoom, and it's actually worked out really well. It's because the cohort still gets to interact and connect. And for business builders, because we have 30 hours over 10 weeks, that's a lot of contact time for people to network. And we find that the people in the cohort support each other, they learn from each other, and they sometimes end up hiring each other, or buying from each other as well. In terms of, is it a good time to start a business? It is. We're seeing, so SBDC also has a crisis management team, and they get launched for pretty much every major downturn, and this has been a big one. And they've seen some companies that have just gone from good sales to crashing, and trying to help them through that. So there's been those transitions. There's also been people that are being laid off now because of COVID that have always kind of had an idea in mind. So we really help them generate a business out of that idea and get started. And then there are the ones that are hanging on by a thread, but they're pivoting to something else. And I think it's just amazing to see the resilience. But it is a good time, but it's also a good time to do it with focus and knowing what the markets look like and what things are doing. And the other thing we've seen is the pivots to online have, it's like we've leapfrogged 5 years because of necessity. People have had to, like wine shops that used to sell their wine by people coming in, tasting it, and walking out with a bottle or two. Those have had to go online. So you think about how instantly people had to say, if I'm going to save my business, I have to do something, and I have to do it now. And the internet became a big part of it.
A big thank you to our sponsors over at Songtub.com. That's right, song or music and a tub, like a bath, but more fun to say. Tub. Anyway, you can check out Songtub's website for any of your music needs. In fact, the song playing in the background right now is from Songtub. So why pick them over anyone else? Well, they curate the music. And I know the guys, so that means I know that they're selecting great music for your project. A lot of other companies will brag about how many songs they have, maybe 100,000, 200,000, maybe even 1 million. But honestly, I don't have time for that. I don't have the time to just sit down and go next, a song not so great, trying to figure out where the best music is. Songtub.com, great place to get your music, and now I'm excited to offer you the first month for free if you go to songtub.com/pro, P-R-O, and we have a promo code for you. Yes, that's right, my name, your host, Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, and that will give you your first month free to have access to a huge music library that you can use towards your next video project, podcast, or any of your general audio needs. Anyway, back to the show.
Yeah, I think that was huge. And I just want to make sure that the listeners get that. So if you have an idea for a business, or if you already have a business, they can tune in to SBDC from the comfort of their own home, get 30 hours, and then I know for myself, entrepreneurship is such a lonely road, and having those resources and having people that have gone before you and having mentorship, that's really helpful, and it makes it not such a lonely road, and it gives you a little bit more guidance and clarity about what direction to take things. And that's great that you guys are already proactive with COVID and have moved all of the courses online. And you talked about the wine companies making the transition to online. Are there any other industries that you're seeing that are really having to make some changes here during this time?
Yeah, very much. Some have been clients, like you were, and some that I'm just watching. But one is called Music We Remember. And it's a wonderful musician who takes music live to assisted living centers, to memory care centers, all through the Portland metro area, and was making a good living doing that, but bringing a tremendous amount of joy because of just even people in memory care would wake up by hearing him sing, and he plays mostly oldies, but requests as well. Well, when COVID happened, no more visits, absolutely stopped. And so he immediately transitioned to a YouTube channel and to doing subscriptions so that things could still be live and people could do requests. And also sometimes going to places and playing in courtyards so the residents can hear from their windows. And because the other thing is, even as we can't go to places, particularly assisted living centers, to visit people, they're becoming increasingly more isolated. So he's crossing that bridge. And it's been tough, but amazing. And so I highly recommend anybody who likes old songs or has someone who really could use some joy in their life. That's called Music We Remember. Another one, there's been a few. Syndicate Wine Bar is in Beaverton. They're with friends of ours. They're also a benefit corporation for good in Oregon. And when COVID said you can't open your doors anymore, they immediately went to their over 400 SKUs of wine and put them online and started saying, we will deliver. You can come and do a curbside case pickup if you want. And that was super fast. And it took a tremendous amount of energy to do that. And they've been doing better now as they have outdoor seating. There's the Black Resilience Fund with Cameron Whitten, who, when we talk about LinkedIn Local, he's the next LinkedIn Local PDX speaker. He created, and he's a very dynamic young individual, he created the Black Resilience Fund at the beginning of COVID to help Black-owned businesses, and it is already at $1.6 million. I know, and so it's really interesting to see how people can generate excitement online and help people. And that's totally a give back. Arrow Coffee is really interesting, owned by Erica Escalante, a great coffee shop in Northeast. When the doors closed, what she did, and she did this online telling her story, she went from selling coffee and trying to do the same thing curbside to baking so she could bake wholesale and supply to other coffee shops. A complete turnaround. And Dead Stock Coffee is another one. They're downtown. They're an amazing coffee shop, and they're doing tremendous work. And Joe Kai is a musician, and he's an amazing musician who does the Elevating Impact Summit. He does violin that's electronic. And he was one of the first musicians that I saw really open up to doing concerts online, but also like event fundraiser, give back kind of things. Mm-hmm. And then we're also seeing the event space. Some events have completely decided to pivot, to just hold off until 2021. But Virtue Labs is, they're doing their annual event, but they're going to do it online in little micro sessions over a period of days. So it's only like 1 or 2 hours a day. And that's going to be this month. So I'm seeing some really exciting things that have gone to marketing online. And we are working with the students at SBDC because students, clients can attend the cohorts, but they always get the no cost advising. And so even after they've graduated a cohort, they can come back and talk about things. But for our summer cohort, which is now, tomorrow, we're having our first class for this cohort on e-commerce and how important some of these topics are. So consumer behavior through e-commerce, sales and marketing through e-commerce, regardless of what type of company it is. So I'm very excited about that. But we feel like we're on a fast moving train. And we're learning as much as anybody else about how e-commerce works, how marketing works, what are the best resources, and because we're a great referral source too, to find some of the best people to help out. And if people are scared of social media and e-commerce, there's help. We really try and match people with others who have expertise, or find other classes for them that are really specific. So we're there to help out.
That's too cool. And that, yeah, thank you for sharing a lot of those awesome stories and mentioning the resources that people have available to them. I think one of the big things I've taken away is morphing is like a big thing throughout all this. Like your company needs to be able to morph if you want to, I don't know if stay relevant's the right term, but like survive or just still get recognition, still be building something during this time. So, preparing for when people do go back to some kind of other state of normal. I feel like that's been the big takeaway for me is, how can you move your business into the online space and then documenting that journey along the way. You talked about Music We Remember. I think they've done a great job of documenting that journey, so that way people feel like you're along for the ride. You're going through some of the hardships of what's it like to set up your camera at home and working through the different environments. Even for here, people are hearing some of the stuff in the background. My wife is editing a video over there and has a client, and I didn't know that until this morning. So I shifted, and so here I am in the bedroom, but making it work. I think that's what we're all trying to do. Just troubleshooting and trying to make things work.
I think you're so right about that, and I hear stories about families too, and it's challenging, and in this time, it's an interesting summer, and people are going through different emotions at different times and different days, but everyone's experiencing something different. And what I'm seeing is a lot of resilience and a lot of fear too. But when people know that there's people they can talk to about it, it can really help. And I think that's one of the important things to recognize.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes even just talking out loud and getting some of the thoughts out there and having a soundboard to bounce things off of can really go a long way for, those aha moments when you're able to, incorporate some new things into your business.
Absolutely.
Do you have any advice for businesses transitioning to the digital space? We kind of already talked about it, but if you have any, what's a one simple step that someone could take today to starting to get to their online presence going?
I think one of the most important things is pacing, and because the digital space is huge, right? And not everybody knows how to write code or do their own website. There's some social media that people like more than others. So I think pacing themselves, but also knowing that you can learn a little something every day to make progress. So it's not like it doesn't have to be jumping into a pool all at once and learning to swim. It's pacing and trying to transition, but also part of what we teach, particularly to solopreneurs, which is very important, is we're not all good all the time at everything there is about business. And I'll take myself as an example. I am not interested in really nor great at the very important aspects of business, finance and accounting and all of those things. I know they are incredibly important. That is not my forte. I am marketing, creative ideas, and sales type of individual. And so I know where to find a good vendor for the things that I don't like to do. It's the same with going into e-commerce or online, is finding some help for some of that, whether it's training help and learning how to do it yourself or actual help that paying for. But in a lot of companies, particularly with COVID, is these moves to digital are the ways to save a business, and particularly retail. And we're seeing that, and granted, some things are opening up, but it's still slow. And to get some revenues back and to talk with people about it and be really open about it. And another thing I think it's important to know is some of the legal aspects of what can you say, claims to be made, intellectual property. If someone's creating a brand and putting it out there online, that part is really important too. And one thing we pride ourselves in saying through the SBD programs is we teach businesses how to start, grow, and thrive, and also stay out of trouble. So that's where just knowing where you can find help is part of it. And we want to make finding that help really easy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think those are some great tips for people. Yeah, pacing, making
and
the
I'll add to that too. We're seeing some people are going into Amazon for sales. So it all depends. Some that have retail are using Shopify, which is a really growing force. I think it's really interesting to watch that. Some are using particularly just social media, like visual aspects of Pinterest and Instagram. They're all important. And I think it's just, you don't have to do it all at once, but learning where the market is, how to reach the people you want to reach, and using one or two aspects in the beginning and then pacing out to do more if there's room for growth, doing more, and keeping a budget doing it, because advertising is also an important part of e-commerce. And so keeping track of the expenses that can come from that and trying to get a return on that investment is super important.
Definitely. Yeah, I think from what the people I've talked to, they get a little overwhelmed by how many platforms are out there. And so I think that's great advice, pacing, sticking to one. And then, yeah, how do you build a brand? And nowadays you don't have to have a big billboard or, don't have to be running a Super Bowl advertisement, but you can, build up your own social media platform and start interacting and building a community. I think is some of the big trends that I'm seeing on social these days, is people wanting to build community. And I think this is a good time to transition to one of your communities, which is a great opportunity for people to get connected beyond just SBDC. But do you want to talk about LinkedIn Local?
I'd love to. Thank you. And thank you for being a part of LinkedIn Local. The history of LinkedIn Local is around the end of 2016, 17. A young woman named Anna McAfee in Australia was looking around at her LinkedIn and noticing the people she was keeping in touch with through LinkedIn, she often hadn't met or hadn't seen very frequently, and she wanted the human connection. So in this western part of Australia, she created an event and said, come, let's meet each other and talk about our businesses and our communities in person. And the people who went were so enthralled, they started talking about it more. It went out on social media, spread through Australia. And the short of it is, chapters built through Australia, Asia, Europe. The US was slow to it, and through another co-founder and I, Portland was the 7th US city to be a LinkedIn Local city at the beginning of 2018. And mostly it was designed for engaging in networking and helping businesses and communities and talking about mostly business aspects, educational topics, community ideas. But here in Portland, there's a lot of networking that at least I notice is interesting and good. There's a lot of organizations for entrepreneurs, and they are predominantly white. And so at the beginning of 2019, because I know people from all sorts of communities who are brilliant business people, they're community leaders, they're amazing, and started saying, hey, would you like to present at LinkedIn Local PDX on any topic about leadership and community? And so 2019 was very well represented by people of color, LGBTQIA. And this year in October, we're having an amazing young woman who has cerebral palsy, and she's an author, she's a business person, and she has a perspective also from a community that's not known by all of us. And also the goal has been to create a diversity, inclusion in an audience too, because we can invite people to come to something, but they have to feel welcome. They have to feel that it's value to them. And the thing that really kicked it off for me is one of the LinkedIn Local partners, a marketing person from, he and I both graduated with the Masters of International Management at PSU in different years. So we've known each other through networking, and he's from China. And he said he went to one of the LinkedIn Local PDX events because the woman who was speaking about personal finance is also from China. And he said, I saw someone who looked like me and I decided to attend the event. And I thought, well, this is what we need throughout a year, is so that people in all communities in the Portland metro area can see someone who they can relate to and feel included and have some takeaways with that as well, and build community. So LinkedIn Local PDX through February of 2020 was all in venues. We used to have some wonderful co-working spaces we'd rotated around, and then COVID. So now it's all on Zoom, which has pros and cons. It's sometimes a little bit clunkier to do the networking portion, but we're playing with breakout groups and prompt questions and keeping people online as long as they want to be on. The presentation part, though, people are saying is tremendous to have on Zoom, because there's no more driving, there's no more parking hassles, there's no more commute. And we're a lot more flexible in terms of times, because we used to have a set day of the week. Now we're doing a lot of variety. We're doing lunches, we're doing evenings, we're doing different days of the week. And we already have some speakers out through pretty much the end of October into November. And we're all volunteer. We have no paid people. We don't pay presenters, but we really try to help promote the presenters and what they're doing. And last year we raised $300, which we gave to local charities. We gave to refugees, Rosehaven, and the Golden Leaf Education Foundation, all Portland based, and all tied into one or two of the speakers. This year we've been doing the events for no cost on Eventbrite, but there's a donation section. And we've already raised more funds than we did when we were charging $5 a ticket to help us cover our food costs and things like that. So it's pretty amazing. And then the presenters, with the money that we'll have in December, hopefully will give us some ideas of what local community organizations we can donate that money to.
A cactus knows how to survive. It can endure scorching heat, limited rainfall, and defends itself against critters daily. Your business is no different. To survive harsh conditions, it's important to develop deep roots using media content that'll continuously nourish and support your marketing efforts day after day. Tactus Media is here to help you determine a strategy and create media content. Together, let's map out the next sequence of videos, podcasts, and social media to help your business thrive. Work with Tactus Media. Media tactics that stick. Ouch! Visit tactusmedia.com to learn more. That's pretty awesome. No, I think thanks for giving kind of the backstory and then talking about how it came to be what it is today. And I think that's great. I think the thing that comes to mind for me, like the word is like opportunity. Like you're creating opportunity for people, and it's very inclusive, and people of all walks of life have an opportunity to connect with somebody, to build upon everyone's skill sets and people's knowledge base. And I'm new to the community and I'm still learning the group, but it seems like people are very welcoming and supportive, so which you don't always get in every group and every organization. So I'm appreciative of you for making that a reality, making that a possibility for people here in Portland to be able to connect. And what are some, so you said this fall there's some more speakers. Are there any plans for 2021? And how can people get connected? Can they find it on LinkedIn? They can follow on Facebook. There's a couple questions there, but
yes, we definitely want to keep going into 2021. And if anyone's interested, we'd love some volunteer help as well. And currently we have Cameron Whitten on the 15th of September on Recipe for Resilience. And he's an amazing young man. He's even run for mayor in the past. He's got a dynamic biography. So he's then Anna Medill of Avenue, which is a B Corp company. She's presenting on September 29th about leading with empathy through a pandemic. And I think that'll be pretty amazing. And she has some incredible takeaways from that. Then in October, we have Hussein Al-Bayadi, who founded Refugees. He is a refugee who has started 2 businesses. He's very business oriented. He's also an amazing artist. And he's talking also about resilience is a big topic now, how to be resilient, because COVID is hard for business owners, and even outside of business, it can be challenging, and yet there is hope and perspective there. And later in October, we have Carly Michael, who is speaking about her book, which is The Wheel Truth, and her life and her perspective as an individual with cerebral palsy. And it's not only about her cerebral palsy, but her perspective of the world. And she's a dynamo. She's incredible. And then we have some lined up, but we don't have dates and times yet. And we would love to hear from anyone. The best way to find us is the Facebook group, LinkedIn Local PDX, because all the events are posted there. And it's because we're volunteers. We can't maintain a website. We don't have the bandwidth for that, but Facebook works well. And we also have a LinkedIn group called LI Local PDX. We're on Instagram at LinkedIn Local PDX and Twitter at LinkedIn Local PD, because of the count that
Yeah.
Twitter, you can't get too long. All those places are great ways to follow us and find out.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll include those in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, the thing that keeps coming back into my mind, and I know this isn't kind of in the show notes, but just, Kim, I'm so appreciative of you. I feel like you live your life kind of in service to others. I mean, with SBDC, with LinkedIn Local, you're always helping other people with mentorship. You've helped me a tremendous amount with my own business. So I definitely recommend anyone that's listening, please get in touch with Kim. She will help you grow. She will help you get to the next level with your organization or what you're trying to aspire to. But I don't know. This is going to be a pretty open-ended question, but I'm curious to see how you answer it. But what's your favorite part about helping people?
Helping people thrive, I think, is an amazing thing to do. It's being the wind beneath somebody's wings, is because I don't need to be on stage. I don't need to be front and center. That's not part of me. I'm a really good backstage person. I'm the kind of person who can run around and help and support and help people have their own show. I really enjoy that. And I like hearing people's stories of how they've done well and how they've persevered and how they've moved on. And if I've been able to help that, I think it's terrific. I think it's part of teaching, and it's wanting to give back, because I've had good mentors that led me through my career, and some of them I still keep in touch with. And it's part of keeping that fabric strong. If somebody gives me something, then I can learn how that gift can transition to me being a giver. I think it's very, very important, but also to recognize all of our communities. And I think to help people be resilient and recognized. And the thing about LinkedIn Local, it's about passing the mic. I could talk, I could do a presentation, but there's other people that really haven't been heard. And to pass the mic to them for their brilliance, I think, is super important. And it's part of building community. I love where we live, and there's definitely some issues to work through. And I truly believe by listening to each other and listening to people and helping their ventures grow stronger, whether it's their businesses, their communities, their volunteering, whatever it is, it's all good for all of us.
Definitely. So yeah, there you go, everybody. Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate the work that you do, and I think it's reflective, and it's going to have a ripple effect on the the community, on the greater world for many years to come. And I think before we wrap up here, maybe we can circle back to just entrepreneurship in a nutshell, or in general. I feel like is really where the good stuff is at, where you get to find out a lot about who you are as a person. And I feel it's just like you're operating on a whole different level in general when you go out and put up your shingle and start your own business. You really, I think there's an old adage of like know yourself, and I know that throughout this process I've come to learn what are my tendencies, what are the best times of day to work. Do you think there's kind of this zen or coming to know who you are through entrepreneurship that really unlocks and helps you realize your own potential?
Oh, absolutely. Entrepreneurship is hard, and I think part of it is there's joys and there's hitting walls. There's a lot of hard work, and I think part of what the courses and many groups around town, like OEN or the Built Oregon, it really helps entrepreneurs to see that they're not the only ones going through a lot of hard work, a lot of strife, a lot of thought process and progress as well, and that there's help to do that. And there's always things you're not going to know, because nobody's an expert in everything, and knowing that it's okay to seek some expertise to guide through a certain part of it. So I think it's tremendous. We still have to keep in mind that there are a lot of businesses that don't take off for a variety of reasons, and that can be okay. Recognizing that can be teaching. It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody did anything wrong. It could be wrong market or wrong product. COVID is a whole different animal for that. Really, really good companies are, we see this with restaurants. We have some that have closed permanently. So there are definitely some, we don't really call them failures. It's just wrong place, wrong time, wrong something, wrong year. But it is hard work to be an entrepreneur, and it can be joyous work to be an entrepreneur. And it's really self-fulfilling. I think also part of being an entrepreneur that I don't see people do enough of, and it's important and it's hard to find it, is some self-care time, some time to take the hikes, some time to take a little vacation, because that can really regenerate creativity. Otherwise, it could be a burnout grind, and that's not always good. And also knowing that entrepreneurs seem to be notorious about underpricing themselves. So finding out what you're really worth and we really help with that. And also knowing that, yes, you could try to do it all, but if there's someone out there who can do, like for me, the accounting or web management and hosting better than I can, and take that time off of my calendar so that I can focus on other things, that can be a tremendous investment, because it can be, and it's just, and some companies grow where they need to hire employees. That's a wonderful thing to do. But for solo startups or just one or two people that are starting out, get some help, because it can really be the difference between burnout and thriving. And yes, it will cost some money, but it's about investing in yourself too.
Yeah, the keyword investing. So it's not just, you're not going out and buying a new car. You're actually investing into yourself, investing to an opportunity, and hopefully your business can be the thing that brings money in for you. So I appreciate, yeah, I appreciate you talk about like kind of the harsh realities of it. Because I think it's fun to think about all the great things that you might be able to do with your business, but at the end of the day, it's about survival and any number of factors that could happen. And saying that sometimes it's not even the entrepreneur's fault; it's just the nature of the situation, the nature of the year. And so and then I appreciate you talked about like you're able to set your own prices, and a lot of people are underpricing themselves. So you're able to really say, hey, this is what my value is. I know my value. And I don't think you often get that as an employee. You're able to say, hey, really calculate your value, other than, maybe once you have your salary and you renegotiate your salary at the end of the year. But as an entrepreneur, you're able to have those micro negotiations all the time about what your value is. So
That's very well put, Brian. Micro negotiations. That's fabulous.
I made it up. Well, Kim, this has been pretty awesome. Are there any last like little tidbits? I think you've already given, a bunch of, we're talking about value, a lot of great value to the audience today, and a lot of good nuggets that I think people will be able to incorporate into their business. And I think this is a good reminder that you don't have to do everything on your own, that there are opportunities, there are ways to invest into your business that won't leave you getting burned out, which is a big thing to, be wary of.
Indeed. Oh, I just know that there's help out there, and reach out to us at SBDC. And there's also so many wonderful communities in our area that, and just by supporting others, we get supported back. And I think that's pretty tremendous. And also, shout out to Benefit Corporations for Good, because they highlight the companies that are doing social good, and B Corp as well, but Benefit Corporations for Good is local. And it is really, really important to support local. Buy local, shop local, find service providers that can help you locally, because that'll help keep our economy strong as well.
Definitely. Yeah, especially during this time. Please buy local. And we had Tom Herring from Benefit Corporations for Good on the podcast a couple episodes ago. So if you guys haven't listened to that one, go check out that episode with Tom. And Kim, this has been wonderful. We'll put all the notes and we'll put the references to the businesses that you talked about in the show notes as well. And I really appreciate your time this morning, Kim. Here we are on Labor Day, so you're taking time, and this, I like to consider this a labor of love, the Media Marketing Podcast. So, Kim, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you, Brian. Have a great day. I think you're awesome. I appreciate you.
You're awesome. Thank you. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
And then we'll just cut there, and I'm going to stop the recording. Let's see. Do you want to stop the cloud recording? I want to say a big thanks for tuning into the Media Marketing Podcast. Please subscribe to get notifications for new episodes, which are coming out every Thursday morning, or at least we're striving for that. Feel free to visit our Facebook page where you can like and join the media marketing community. This is a good resource for collaborating, sharing ideas with other media creators, marketers, and those just looking to build their network. So until next time.